Live from the JSA Podcast Studio, presenting Data Movers, showcasing the leaders behind the headlines in the telecom and data center infrastructure industry.
Hey everybody, welcome to Data Movers. I'm your host, Jaymie Scotto, Cutaia, CEO and founder of JSA, along with my fabulous co-host, top B2B social media influencer, Mr. Evan Kirstel. Hey Evan.
How are you? Welcome to Data Movers, where we sit down with the most influential men and women in the new world of data centers and telecom, enabling this transition to a new normal. Jaymie, you're in the LA area. Did you see the news? Disneyland is reopening.
I am so excited.
Did you get your mouse ears? Are you going to be first in line?
I just have them portable. I put my hands on top of my head and there's my mouse ears. But obviously having a 10-month-old baby girl, I'm like, can't wait until, I finally have an excuse, my husband and I.
She's not going to remember anything, by the way. So she's going to have no recollection of the experience. But I am actually looking forward to getting back to a theme park now that I've been vaccinated and having some normal experiences again. And speaking of theme parks and Orlando, our next guest, I think, is from that area, right? Tampa?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Correct.
So let's get right to it. Today, we welcome Mr. Brad Foster, partner of Cloud Advisory at Maven Wave. Welcome, Brad.
Hi, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Good to see you, meet you for the first time. So tell me, you're in Tampa. My good old buddy Tom Brady is also there. Do you guys have beer together? Do you kind of catch up with him at all around the Tampa area?
For sure. Actually, a little known fact. I'll let you guys in a secret. So my wife is Brazilian, and that's what brought them down. She's best buds with Gisele, and she talked the Brady family into coming down, playing some football in the Tampa area, so we getting a championship. I just relocated from Chicago, where the Bears were not so hot recently, but Tom and Jill came down, got us a championship, no problem.
All right. Well, I'm in Boston, so I'm not happy about the situation at all. But what I am interested to learn about is you and your team and what you've been up to during the pandemic. Have you had to shift or reposition yourselves at all? And give us a background on how you help enterprises today.
Yeah, we obviously all moved to a work from home model and some of those things. So nothing out of the ordinary in terms of the things we've had to deal with how do you keep the culture alive and vibrant and virtual happy hours and things like that. But I think helping our customers change some of their journey has been interesting. I'll give two or three examples of things that have been fun to do. One, in our healthcare space was one of our top areas, helping some companies go to telemedicine. So, they had to make a flip too virtually, and we're large partnerships with Google, and obviously have Google Meet and other things. And within a couple months, we were able to help integrate virtual conferencing into. So, Epic is kind of a very well-known system that all Cerner and Epic, all hospitals use for all the patient information. And so we integrated just point and click, where a physician could be within the system they're in all the time, taking the notes about you and the visit, and open a virtual meeting with Google with their patient, multiple, the patient and the patient's caregiver, whatever it may be. So rolling something like that out real time for actually the state of, this is some press release information recently with the state of Rhode Island and recently state of Wisconsin, things like virtual career centers. So obviously unemployment is massive. People are trying to get back to work, but they couldn't go to career centers they would normally go to get help and placement and services. So we rolled out that in Rhode Island. That went live recently. And then we're doing the same for Wisconsin, hopefully some more states where those services are all virtual, like virtual career fairs and things. And then the biggest one, which we all can relate to, is the DMV implement capabilities to renew licenses and other things 100% online. So imagine not having to go to a DMV anymore and just submit photos and other things online, your documentation, as long as you're not checking the box that you're a felony or a felon or something like that. They send you your information in the mail, your license in the mail. And so that was another fun one that just kind of they had to do because people they were losing revenue because people just couldn't go to the office and renew and other things like that. So it's been fun to see some of those things come to the market and come fast.
Yeah. And even non-pandemic times, every minute you spend waiting in that DMV line, you're thinking, this definitely can be done better. Like, what are we thinking? This is archaic.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. What an amazing world that we live in. As a person who's born and raised in Rhode Island, with my family still there. These are remarkable things, projects that you're deploying, really helping families. So I really salute you, especially during these times. It seems like everyone today is also talking about AI, machine learning. There's a lot of interest there, of course. And I know you oversee this portion of Maven Wave's business. When do you think these technologies can really help enterprises? Are there any instances that come to mind? Are they too far out? Are they happening now? What type of applications are really meaningful to you?
Yeah, no, there are legitimate uses of it now that are helping businesses. I think in the whole height curve moment and the chasm, you're crossing the chasm and all those references, that it was super hyped up 4 or 5 years ago, and people thought it's going to save the world and it's push button easy, and they started to realize it's not that easy. And you have somebody that's running a manufacturing plant, and maybe the line goes down twice a year for 2 different complete reasons, and they think you can predict when it's going to go down next. I mean, they don't realize that if it doesn't occur that frequently, then you can't predict something. It's very hard. So people just weren't educated about how AI can be applicable and what you need to make it successful. I think people have kind of come back down to reality now and are more pragmatically understanding that combination of data and situations that you need to make it useful. And we are seeing now success, especially in areas of prediction, forecasting or downtime. We mentioned, theme park operators and ride downtime, or for large, I'll call it package distribution companies that we work with, where we're helping them forecast the demand through all of their network of facilities. And it's very important for them to understand, right? You have Amazon 1 and 2 day delivery. They really want to know exactly when things are arriving, and they have mountains of data, and they have real useful ways in which they can apply it. So we've started to find that are really helping companies move the needle. And then the other thing that has really been a trend for us is it's about enablement. Most companies want to maintain that secret sauce in-house, because it is a little bit of a black box, and their predictions and other things are differentiated IP. If they can deliver the package faster because that IP of AI is helping them, that's money in their pockets, and that's differentiation. And so it's also, we've been helping enable them to do the AI. They don't understand some of the cloud platforms, how to stand up these sandboxes, easily control them, put sensitive data there so they can use that. And so a lot of what we've been doing recently that's been very successful is helping them stand up the platform, train them on it, and scale their organization so that we can kind of let them, you can take the training wheels off, so to speak, and they can really start scaling that into more use cases in the organization. So that's been fun to really kind of help them on that journey as well.
That's fantastic. I love to hear those stories, in particular the healthcare IT initiatives. I was a HIMSS social media ambassador for a couple of years, and it was amazing to see, even pre-pandemic, how healthcare is really lagging in digital and cloud adoption, and this push we all saw from less than 1% utilization to like 30% utilization of telehealth and telemedicine in a matter of months. What are for companies that are still lagging in shifting to the cloud and to all the benefits therein, what are some of the best practices? What kind of advice do you give companies who may be looking?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we all know, there are people who like to lead the charge and don't mind being there, realizing they're going to make some mistakes and spend a little bit more money to do it than if you wait and it's already been solved. But when you wait, you also don't have the the advantage. Sometimes the first movers capture the market and set the tone and capture the customer base, et cetera. For those companies that maybe are struggling or still skeptical about going there, which I think it is dwindling down. I think people have come to a bit of a conclusion that we're going to the cloud. It's not as much about the education convincing them anymore that it's secure and it's easier to manage than their data centers. I think now what they're struggling with is the how. Like, how do I get there? Like, I have this 50-year-old legacy environment of all this stuff, and it's just mesmerizing to understand all the dependencies, and they just end up in gridlock. Oh, I'll move this. Wait a minute, that's connected to that, and then that's connected to that, and then they can somewhat end up in this gridlock of just getting started and becomes overwhelming. So I think a couple of things we focus on to remove that friction is they have to have some executive buy-in and in making that move and setting the tone at the business and IT level that they are going to be a company that is going to be leading the charge and digital. And we see that some of our enterprises, such as financial services, asset management companies, when they're talking to new clients, the clients are looking at tech. You'd think it's not just about how much money you're going to make me for this $1 billion fund. It's tell me what technology you're using underneath. What AI do you have? Are you running on the mainframe still? Well, if not, I'm going to go with the company that's not on the mainframe. So tech for these companies from a leadership perspective is becoming an important component of their plan, and it has to be leadership driven. And the second is you really try to, we have and that's why I'm leading Cloud Advisory now is the focus on that journey. We call it, you're not going to go to cloud overnight. It's going to be a multi-year journey. You're going to be in this hybrid state. You're going to have some things that will remain on-prem for a while. Mainframes, big Oracle installs that are integrated, those are going to take time to unwind. So let's create the roadmap of some simple wins, some value you can get, new things that you're doing. Don't do those on-prem, do those on cloud. So we're really sitting down and helping them create like a pragmatic journey there. And that's helping organizations quite a bit and kind of calming down and seeing some light in a path, to getting there.
Yeah, I love that. The pragmatic multi-year hybrid journey where you're road mapping those wins. I think that's really critical to think about that. You can't just swipe a credit card and have all these services arrive at your doorstep like ding, like Jeannie just wanted. And
the hyperscaler.
I do that all the time. Come on, Jaymie.
I saw your Jeannie bottle and wondered.
he's banging out code on the weekends. You didn't know that? But I think the hyperscalers too, and we are great partners with them. But at the same time, right, their motivation is they want your business. They want you on the cloud as fast as possible. And so they want to make it seem easy and everything else. They want the wave of consumption to start and the meter to start ringing. And so I think our job is educating our clients on the realities that yes, there's some stuff that can go there easy. And yes, you should start using it. You shouldn't be managing your data center anymore. But there are some things that aren't that easy. And it takes some more time, and we have options to help them through that as well.
And what are the things that aren't so easy about moving to the cloud?
I think there's two things that come to mind as the main, not necessarily challenges, but things you have to just make sure you plan correctly for, or you'll find yourself stumbling, and you won't be efficient or effective, or you'll have some risk. And this has happened to a lot of clients out there where your data gets exposed, or somebody hacks their servers and Bitcoin mines on their cloud servers. Is the operational aspect of it. Some people, I think, when they were early, just thought of cloud that and move things there, and great, it's simple, and they have 1,000 person running an on-prem data center operation, taking tickets and monitoring things and keeping firewalls up to date, all this stuff, and then they would put 5 people on the cloud services team and think, oh, great. Now, and all of a sudden they would have this massive demand because you don't have to wait on servers and everything else. And the business teams, IT teams start building applications and data lakes. And then you ended up with this team that's just completely overwhelmed, and the CISO's getting nervous, and the heads of infrastructure and other people are just, oh my gosh. And they'll just like time out, stop. Everybody stop what you're doing. we have to invest more in this, our operations and our foundation to make sure data isn't leaked and the wrong people don't have access to things, and people are not, coding things in a manner that's creating risk, et cetera. So it's really about making sure you have that right sized operations team that is also implementing those operations as the need is there for the types of workloads that are there. You don't need to spend 2 years building the perfect bulletproof foundation, then finally let your organization start using cloud. That's completely wrong way to tackle it. But you also can't be in the other spectrum of let the Wild West happen, and then you wake up and you have all sorts of things that are risk to the organization and very difficult to rein back into common patterns and other things. So I think making sure you have that under control in the right balance is key. And the second thing is just acknowledging the legacy stuff that can't go to cloud and having a plan to, again, pragmatically attack that. Mainframe, for example, that people would have been off the mainframe. It was that easy. People would have been off the mainframe 10 years ago. So it's not that easy, and you can't just have a salesperson come in and pitch you that, hey, in 12 months, you'll be off your mainframe and let's move it to cloud. That's not realistic. But they do need to get off the mainframe. There are major pressures coming with workforce retirement and the vendors jacking up prices and other things that they have to get off. And so I think just acknowledging how you manage the stuff that can't go to cloud right now over the next 5 years, and how you have kind of a slower modernization journey to address that at the same time is key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Companies are trying to move from information to, insight. And how do you help them in that journey? And, what are the struggles in trying to get their hands around big data in the enterprise?
Yeah, I think the companies who are doing it well and see success have moved towards an agile method of delivering insights to the organization. And I'll call it product-driven and agile. And when I say agile and product-driven, it's not that you have a 15-minute daily stand-up at 9 a.m. and meet and talk about stuff. It's the concept that a business person owns the outcome. They're the product manager, and they have something they're trying to improve and achieve, and they feel data and insights are a part of them, achieving that objective. Going back to a ride downtime scenario. Hey, I, as an organization, lose money when a ride goes down. People don't go through a gift shop, and the customer satisfaction goes down, and all these things happen. How would I possibly pull data to understand when I could prevent that? I could do preventive maintenance, and then that's a real outcome to the organization. And so when companies are aligning to an outcome and they put a business person in control of leading the charge and equip it kind of with this cross-functional team to then execute, they see those outcomes much more effectively. And it goes all the way to the deployment into the day-to-day operations to the screens. We always say that sometimes they'll lose the battle in the last 18 inches, which is the distance between your nose and the screen. That they don't focus on, well, how is the person going to be alerted that they need to do something? Or what's the dashboard? Is the dashboard they're using really useful, or is it not useful? Or is it supposed to be a new mobile app that a consumer can interact with data and see all sorts of things about their appliances and whatever it may be? So we really focus on that end, making sure literally they get the end-to-end value throughout that entire process versus, and companies are changing. So in the past, they would just spend 2 years building these behemoth data platforms. Let me go put all the enterprise data in a data warehouse, and then IT would give you some reports. There would be very little collaboration with the business people, and the business people this isn't really what I need. They would ask for something new. It would take 3 months for IT to give them a new updated report, and that just they were wasting millions and tens of millions of dollars building these data platforms that the business just never used to the extent that they needed. So this kind of product-centric agile approach we've seen has really delivered the value to the organization. And then over time, you just find yourself, after you've done 10 of those, with kind of a data warehouse with multiple data sets in it that people can then reuse for other purposes. But that's how we're seeing success.
Yeah, we see that so much from a data-driven marketing perspective. Just because it's a data stream doesn't make it useful and has to be in line with business objectives. So Completely understand your point there. And now, Brad, I'd love to transition this and really talk about, you as a person, about your career, as we always do here on Data Movers. Tell us a bit about your journey to Maven Wave. How did you become one of the top partners at this fast-growing company? And I just want to even take a second to say, Maven Wave just recently got acquired by Atos in 2019, also won 3 times in a row, most recently this past 2020 year, the Google Cloud North America Service Partners of the Year Award. Like big news here in Google Cloud world. So tell us, how did you become partner? What was the path like?
Yeah. So I actually started my career was at Anderson Consulting. So I can date, if you want to date myself, before it was Accenture is when I started there. Went deep into tech at the time. I'm an engineering major from U of I, Champaign, and really kind of got my foundational there. Left there and was the first employee at a startup called Fathom Solutions, and it was when the telecom deregulated. And there, I really cut my teeth on growing into management positions, understanding how to run large scale programs, $200 million programs with Fortune 500s and those types of things. And then we were acquired by Cognizant. So I then saw the boom of all the offshore things happen and cut my teeth on global delivery models. And that actually took a break at that point in time, started a home renovation business in Chicago. Oh, cool. And which was a fun part of my life. And believe it or not, has served me well when I came back into consulting. Just when you're dealing with homeowners and budgets and timelines and expectations. I mean, all those things just sharpen your skills when you're in any client service industry, right? And so as odds would have it, I was met my now wife in Brazil and I was traveling there. And the founders of Maven Wave, who are also the founders of the previous company, Fathom Solutions, we always kept in touch. They're close personal friends. And they kind of started throwing me a couple of projects like, hey, we know your construction thing's going great. Would you want to, there's a project with the Chicago Cubs and I'm a huge Cubs fan. Like, would you want to work on this for 3 months? I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I want to do that, do some consulting there. And then one of the projects I was in Brazil and like, hey, there's this cloud thing. Would you want to work on that? It's kind of this migration thing going on. I was like, that's interesting. And so I worked on that and it was really my first introduction to cloud. And we were moving a bunch of data from on-prem to virtual machines and other applications in the cloud. It was very early. This was going on at Google, very, very early Google days when they had very few products there. And I remember met the client a couple of times with a lot of virtual meetings. And then I was executing data migrations from a balcony in Brazil, looking at the ocean. And before you would have to be plugged into somebody's network in their office or in their data center or whatever. And just my mind's like, this just seems like where the world would want to go. Who wouldn't want to have the flexibility to use technology in a way that doesn't confine you to walls and other things? And so they had always said, there's an open door. If you ever want to come back and work with us, let us know. And so when my wife and I decided we get engaged and married and decided we're going to go back to Chicago versus live in Brazil, I said, hey, I want to join forces with you guys again. So that was, I think Maven was only about 20 or 30 people at that point in time. And from there, we really, it was literally grassroots, ground up, just hand-to-hand combat, building our Google channel, working with clients. We've done work on AWS and Azure as well. But it was a lot of energy and effort in those cloud days, like tire kickers, education, POCs. I mean, you really just had to do anything and everything you could to learn what you could about cloud, where this was going, make some mistakes. And we were lucky enough, I think, to be early in that journey, especially with Google as a go-to-market partner. And as a small company, everybody would take a meeting with Google. Nobody would take a meeting with Maven Wave, right? Who's Maven Wave? But any Fortune 500 company wanted the Google magic. And so our go-to-market strategy was, let's just get really good at Google technology. They love our consulting capabilities. They didn't really have and still don't have a large professional services organization. So let's bring our balance of consulting know-how with the technology skills and certifications. And so that just proved to be an amazing partnership that we just leveraged and both sides really grew and learned from the partnership. And that's, I think, why we're partner of the year 3 times in a year. I think still today, we have more specializations on Google than any company in the world. Your Accenture's, Deloitte, so we have more than them. And so we really just kind of grew that through the years and to where we're hundreds of people and now acquired by Atos. So it's been a very fun journey.
That is, yeah, 8 or 9 years. That's quite a good run in the technology world. So well done. And so looking forward, tell us what you're excited about at Maven Wave and a little bit about your relationship with Atos, who, we in the industry know is this just gigantic IT technology and services company, maybe less known in the US, but how do you collaborate within that organization?
Yeah, I mean, some things I'm excited about. Continuing to grow our AWS and Azure relationships. We'd already had a plan as Maven Wave to, we were finally getting to the size where you could start getting into those channels in the same manner and scale that we had invested in Google. Atos brings, they have a very strong Microsoft partnership worldwide. So we get some major acceleration into the channel there. And then our combined, we already done quite a lot of work in AWS and that with Atos capabilities. So I'm really excited about where we're going to go with the continued Google success, as well as continued success in the other channels. And then you're spot on that, Atos is like more of a household name in Europe and wanting to grow their presence in North America, hence why they want to acquire companies like Maven Wave to really kind of try to accelerate that growth and that household name recognition. I think the thing that's very complementary about Atos's fundamental skills and ours is that they were more traditional data center, networking, security, large scale managed services. We were more tip of the spear, digital transformation, cloud. And we were looking and going, wow, if I have to build a large scale managed service operation globally to capture this, managing cloud environments for Fortune 1000 companies, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of investment. And by the time we build that, we'll miss the market. And so we're looking, and we're growing our infrastructure organization, but same thing. You're like, wow, this market is here. And so, and they were looking at the same, like they know they had to do something to accelerate their front end digital transformation consulting type in cloud capabilities. So it was a very complementary match in terms of our teams coming together. So I think what we're seeing is we can bring so much more to the table for our clients and a true end-to-end story that isn't false anymore. If we were trying to tell, oh, well, sure, we have 300 people to run a managed service globally for you. Like, no, we don't. I mean, it's just really hard for a client to believe that. And then the same thing, it was hard for a client to believe them on the tip of the spear innovation. So now when our collective teams sit down with clients and talk about what we can do, it's really fun to see that we don't have to be scared of having any conversation. That journey to cloud I'm talking about, where we want to talk about, let's move this stuff to cloud, it's easy, or let's build new cool things like, hey, Maven Wave all day long. Ooh, you need to do something like manage Oracle or a mainframe. Atos is coming in their core teams. We're standing up co-located facilities that are cross-connected to the hyperscalers. You have 1 millisecond. It's basically, for all intents and purposes, inside Google and Amazon and Azure data centers. So now your mainframe runs at the same speed with cloud as it runs talking to other mainframe applications. They're able to do things like that reduce the friction, allow clients to go on this journey and bring major firepower to like the infrastructure move and kind of legacy move, as well as we have major capabilities for that modernization. They have IP and other things that accelerate things like converting COBOL to Java and kind of getting the applications modernized. So that combination of skills with them, I think, has allowed us to be very creative with customers on listening to them and trying to find something that matches what they need to do versus just here's our widget, here's our methodology, like go. And if you don't like to do it that way, then we don't want to listen to you. So that's been the very exciting part about the merger.
Yeah, it sounds so complementary with skill sets and reach and capabilities. And again, always just boils down to good people attracting good people. And certainly, personally, that's true with our Maven Wave family. We also know that you, Brad, also manage large teams. What makes an ideal team member for a technology and consulting firm like Maven Wave? What advice do you have for folks who really want to launch a career in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, my advice, and this is what we tell our team members, and these are our fundamental hiring values, actually have nothing to do with cloud or technology specifically, because that's all going to change over our careers if you stay in technology. So we boil down to some other fundamentals. First being critical thinking and problem solving capability. Can you just fundamentally understand a problem, break it down, and solve it with whatever methods, tools, and oftentimes you have to define those methods and tools because we're doing things for the first time. The second is then the aptitude and design hunger to learn. This stuff is constantly changing. It's almost exhausting sometimes how fast this tech is coming into market. You're trying to keep up with all of the hundreds of Google and Azure and AWS products and what they can do. I mean, it's you have to enjoy being in that environment and grabbing out of those things, but also being able to pick them up quickly and apply them. And then the third is really communication and relationship skills. I mean, I tell my team all the time, we're not in a technology business. We're in a relationship business. We're any services company. You're providing a service, and they're hiring you because they trust you as people to get the job done for them. The technology works. I mean, it's working, and it's moving at a pace that's faster than people can even consume it and get value out of it. So it really comes down to the people getting the job done and communicating well with the client, gelling well with the clients, and forming like that optimal team that then works well together. So you really just have to become good at being a part of a team, being a part of a client, communicating well, and interacting. If you're really strong at those three things, you're generally going to be a very successful person, and I think any job that you have, but definitely a successful consultant.
Yeah, no, those are awesome. Those three tips, absolutely what we look for when hiring our next JSAer, and what we want to teach our kids, really. Yeah. They're just the roadmap to success for any person trying to develop themselves. So Evan and I love this next sort of section of Data Movers. We call it Rapid Fire, where we just kind of shout a few phrases, and we like to hear the first thing that comes to mind, our rapid fire fun facts about Mr. Brad Foster. So are you ready?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. First, talking Chicago. Everyone loves to talk Chicago and culinary bliss. Top restaurant recommendations in Chicago.
That's like such a tough one, as you know, because Chicago has so many good spots to eat, and there's new ones popping up all the time. One that kind of comes to mind that my wife and I happen to be going back to is Momotaro. It's a sushi spot that's in the booming kind of West Loop area, which now has just so many great restaurants popping up, and is kind of the hot spot of Chicago. So we just kind of find ourselves in a groove there. There's some amazing sashimi and other things that they were doing there. So that's one that popped to mind that I've probably been to 10 times over the past 3 or 4 years at least. So I'll go with that one. Although there are endless other options, as you guys know, in Chicago for great food.
Yeah, sushi's always good for me. I'm such a Japanese cuisine fan.
Yeah, I'm actually eating sushi now. You can't. I'm kind of turning my head. You can't see it.
Little off camera chopsticks flying around.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's good to sneak in because it's like small bites. You can just pop one in. Not like you can't eat a burger on camera. That doesn't work.
No.
I've done that. It worked fine.
Evan, you want to take the next one? I know this is.
Yeah, favorite sport to watch live. And I think I know the answer, but I'll let you go ahead.
That one for me is ice hockey. I just think
worst sport to watch live. Absolutely the worst.
Yeah,
you can't follow the puck. You can't see where the puck is. It's
yeah. I still can for some reason, but yeah, for me the energy, like the impact, like the speed. I think people don't realize like how fast those guys move on ice. And I grew up playing all sports and I'm a huge sports fan, so I like to watch them all. So it's a tough question to answer, but they all have different aspects. For baseball, as being a big Cubs fan, it's like a big party in the stadium. So I enjoy watching it, but also it's 3 hours of drinking and eating with your friends. It's like an outdoor bar. So that experience is when we have an annual Cubs outing. We'll hopefully, I don't know if this year will start again. Obviously, we had to cancel last year, but that's anybody who's been to Wrigley knows that that's a pretty amazing experience overall as well.
Yeah, it makes me miss it. All right. So any languages you speak besides English? Any words that would come out of your mouth in the Wrigley's field?
Sim, eu posso falar português.
Oh, Portuguese. Beautiful. Well, it makes sense with your beautiful Brazilian wife.
Yeah, exactly. So I figured I better learn that, or else all my family in Brazil is going to be saying all sorts of things, and I'm not going to know, are they talking about me? What are they saying? So I better get sharp at my Portuguese so I can really be a part of the family down there and interact with them.
And I think the next question is pretty obvious. Favorite place to travel? I think we know that too.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the top ones. And I found myself going down there. I went down a couple of times and met my wife and was going back. We recently bought a house there that we'll stay in when we go down and visit family, and then try our hand at the Airbnb thing a little bit here. But I would also say it's any beach location. I'm big on water, scuba diving, surfing, even swimming pools. I love water, and then in all sense boating. And so I've been lucky enough to be Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, lots of beautiful beaches in the world in my life. So that's definitely, and Brazil has a ton of them.
Yeah. Water just makes you happy, when you can look out and see an ocean. It provides the morale.
Brings calmness. Yeah.
So, okay, number one piece of parenting advice. Tough
one. I would say consistency and persistence pays off. I think anyone I have stepsons who are now 21 and 24. But I've known them since, been part of my life since they were 8 and 11. And now I also have a 5-year-old daughter. And, you're going through, we all kind of half make it up while we're doing it anyway. Right? I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not. I'm just going to do what I think's right. And you don't quite know if all those messages and lessons and things you're telling them are going to sink in or not. It seems like they're not, especially in teenage years. Like these are, the knuckleheads. They're not listening to anything I say, but then now that they've gotten to the age they're at, you kind of realize like, wow. And they've told me specifically, hey, thank you so much for you and mom, like being hard on us and doing those things. We know we were difficult and we didn't want to listen to you at the time, but now they're saying those things to their friends or they're acting that way. And so it's all that persistence and consistency of messaging where you're like, oh, okay, thank God. Like it worked to some extent, at least. But you have to have faith because I don't know if you guys have kids, but in the moment you're just like, I don't know if this is they're going to ever turn this.
Yeah,
around.
my parenting goal, I just don't want to have them hate my guts. If I achieve that, I will consider myself a successful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
The other last question we have is kind of back to your career, almost 9 years. What's your favorite memory or moment from those 9 years?
Yeah, so I'll pull one in from the going back to the Cubs outing, and we actually had a leadership meeting right before this, and we asked a bunch of people about some questions, and one was like, "What would you do if you had a magic wand and change at Maven Wave? What would you do?" And surprisingly, out of the 20 kind of main leaders in our company, several were talking about, bring the Cubs game back this year or whatever, and so it's just our whole company gets together. We call them First Fridays, and then in the one in August, usually we do a Cubs outing. So it's kind of various events on the first Friday of every month. And so one year, a few years ago, this is probably now 6 or 7 years ago, I was in the company 1 or 2 years. I'm been kind of known as the person in the company that kind of livens some stuff up, our quarterly meetings or whatever. I started adding some funny things to it. And now that it's really taken off and our company meetings are a blast and just hilarious, the creativity and skills people have outside of consulting, people come and do full on singing things. So one of the years I started a recognition program where we do things to give away awards. And so we're going to the Cubs game. I dressed up as Harry Caray in the office, and we're like, okay, time for recognition. And so I had my Budweiser and my Harry Caray outfit, and I was doing the whole shtick, my best impression of Harry Caray. and giving out the recognition and all that. And they're like, everybody enjoy the game. See you guys at the stadium. And so people are like, no, you can't change. You have to go as Harry Caray. Like, you go. And I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. I'll go to the game. And basically every year I end up on the Jumbotron because obviously, and people are taking pictures with me in the stadium, and the whole company's taking pictures. And like, everybody just got so into it and loved it. And so the next year, everybody's like, is Harry coming? Harry has to come. So now it's been an annual thing. And to top it all off, there's a place called Deuces and Diamonds that has kind of a pool in outdoors. It's like a 4 foot wide by 12 foot long, like 2 little pools in this outdoor patio. And so as I was going to go change clothes in normal clothes, as after the game, we were there for a couple hours. I'm like, okay, I can go change normal clothes. I was walking. They had these little stairs that go up, and walking across, and the whole bar started chanting, Harry, Harry. And I paused and I looked at the water, and I was just like, you know what, screw it. And I just did a full on belly flop, into the pool. And our whole company has it on video. And so that was the first year. And then it became this legend of, hey, is Harry showing up? Is Harry doing belly flop? And so it's been a yearly thing that everybody expects Harry Caray to show up. And assuming we're going to Deuces and Diamonds, like, the belly flop's going to happen. And then I took it a whole nother level. And I Google 2 years ago, Google had one of their conferences in Chicago, Navy Pier, one of their Google summits. And I was speaking on the 5 barriers to moving data to the cloud and how to overcome them with the guy who worked for me that headed our data practice. And it was a big Navy Pier Chicago theme. And I called him up that morning. I said, Todd, I don't know, I've spoken at multiple of these things now. I'm tired of hearing myself talk about data or AI or cloud. We're going to liven this up. I said, I'm going as Harry Caray. You know the content, you do the slides. I'm just going to try to add some humor to this to liven up these conferences or whatever. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, this is either going to be disastrous and crash and burn, or maybe it'll go off well. And I brought in a cooler of Budweiser's, and we're up on stage, and we're going back and forth, and it ended up working out very well. And people at the conference like, thank God, thanks for the break and the monotony of these conferences. And we actually ended up getting 2 or 3 decent sized client deals out of that. So the Harry Caray thing.
Did you jump off Navy Pier though? That's the question.
Yeah, I didn't. I did sing the 7th inning stretch in the middle of the presentation. It was the 7th slide stretch. When we got to the 7th slide, I did a full on musical number. So it was.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to. I always love combining business and alcohol. It's just a great combination. Absolutely.
Video of the belly flop.
There is. I can send you guys a video if you want to just
We're gonna just put that in.
Snip of that of like the big belly flop.
Totally.
For sure.
Well, we need to put it in the show notes. But well, look, it was really great chatting with you and learning about your mission. And congratulations on all the success. And look forward to grabbing a couple of mojitos on the beach, whether it's Tampa or LA or Rio. So we'll have to just find the place.
For sure. Where are you guys located? I forgot to ask.
I'm actually right on the beach. So.
Oh, nice.
In Laguna.
And I live in Jaymie's garden. I live in a shed in Jaymie's garden, but it's been great. I appreciated her having me.
Or at least allowing you to be there, kind of unknowingly.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much, Brad. What amazing insight and tips for us. And guys, if you've enjoyed this Data Movers podcast, be sure to check us out, jsa.net/podcast, for upcoming Data Movers episodes that drop every other week on Wednesdays. Also, check us out on Twitter @jscotto, @Evan Kirstel. And as always, happy networking.